What would you do if you found your wife's Amazon orders? Not for your shared home, but for an apartment across town. An apartment you didn't recognize, filled with your own clothes. The screen of my phone glowed at 2 a.m., illuminating the damning details. A package of my favorite vintage band t-shirts. Delivered to 1420 N LaSalle Street, Chicago. My stomach dropped. A cold, sickening lurch that stole my breath. It wasn't just the address. It was the sheer audacity, the meticulous planning, the betrayal staring back at me from a digital receipt. I felt a primal scream building in my chest, but all that escaped was a silent, desperate gasp. This wasn't a mistake. This was a declaration of war, and I knew with chilling certainty that my life as I knew it was over. The first crack in our perfect facade appeared subtly, like a hairline fracture in glass. Sarah, my wife of 10 years, started working late, her phone always face down, her eyes darting away when I entered the room. She'd always been vibrant, open, but a new brittle shell had formed around her. I dismissed it as stress from her new project at Sterling & Associates, a high-stakes marketing campaign. I was loyal, perhaps foolishly so, believing in the sanctity of our vows, the warmth of our Lincoln Park brownstone. But the Amazon orders, those innocuous digital breadcrumbs, shattered that illusion. The humiliation was a physical weight, pressing down on me. My clothes, my personal items, being sent to another man's apartment. It wasn't just infidelity, it was a calculated insult, a public display of ownership by someone else. I remembered a casual comment she'd made weeks ago, you know? Mark from work lives in a really cool loft downtown. Mark Harrison. It's a smug, slick-haired account manager she'd mentioned once or twice. The pieces clicked into place with a sickening finality. Her behavior grew stranger. She'd hum little tunes I didn't recognize, her eyes holding a distant, almost triumphant glint. She became cold, manipulative. Arguments would erupt over trivial things, and she'd twist my words, making me feel like the irrational one. "You're being paranoid, David," she'd say, her voice dripping with faint concern. "Maybe you need to see someone." She was building a narrative, painting me as unstable, preparing for a future where I was the villain. I started my slow, agonizing discovery. I found a burner phone hidden in her gym bag, its texts filled with affectionate messages from M. I saw receipts for expensive dinners at the Aviary, a place she'd always said was too pretentious for us. One evening, I overheard a hushed phone call from the patio, her voice soft, playful, utterly unlike the Sarah I knew. "He's out cold," she whispered. "Meet me at the usual spot." The usual spot. My mind raced, picturing clandestine meetings in dimly lit bars, stolen moments in hotel lobbies. The villains, Mark and Sarah, felt untouchable. I saw them once by chance at a coffee shop on Michigan Avenue. They were laughing, his hand resting casually on her lower back. She caught my eye, a flicker of surprise, then a smirk. A smirk. It was then I knew. This wasn't just about passion. It was about power, about her asserting dominance, about making me feel small. I walked away, my hands trembling, the city lights blurring through a film of tears. I emotionally broke down that night, curled on the bathroom floor, the weight of her betrayal crushing me. But the breakdown was a turning point. The loyal, trusting husband died that night. In his place, a cold, strategic mind began to form. I started secretly gathering proof. I installed discreet cameras in the house, focusing on entryways in her home office. I hired a private investigator, a grizzled ex-cop named Frank Miller, who worked out of a cramped office in the Loop. Frank's reports were clinical, brutal. Photos of Sarah and Mark entering a luxury apartment building on N LaSalle, holding hands. Times, timestamps, license plate numbers, even a video of them kissing in the parking garage of the Thompson Hotel. I meticulously documented everything, creating a digital fortress of evidence. I began setting legal and social traps. I consulted with a divorce attorney, a sharp, known-sense woman named Eleanor Vance, whose reputation preceded her. She advised me on asset protection, on how to ensure Sarah's infidelity would be undeniable in court. I subtly started shifting funds, securing my financial future. I also began to plant seeds of doubt among our mutual friends. Casual comments about Sarah's stress and unusual hours, letting them draw their own conclusions. I knew the social fallout would be devastating for her. The public exposure happened swiftly, brutally. I filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences and presenting the mountain of evidence. The court documents detailing Sarah's affair were leaked to a local gossip blog, Chicago Whispers, by an anonymous source, a source who sounded suspiciously like Frank Miller. The story exploded. Sarah's carefully constructed image, her career at Sterling and Associates, crumbled. Her colleagues, her clients, her family, everyone knew. The shame was palpable, a scarlet letter emblazoned across her public life. The final blow came in court. Eleanor Vance was relentless, presenting the Amazon orders, the burner phone texts, Frank's surveillance photos, the video. Sarah, once so arrogant, sat pale and defeated. Mark Harrison, her smug affair partner, was called to testify, his face a mask of fear as he admitted to the affair under oath. The judge, a stern woman with no tolerance for deceit, ruled decisively in my favor. Sarah was completely ruined, financially, socially, legally. She lost everything, her career, her reputation, most of her assets. I saw her once more months later, walking alone down a desolate street in the West Loop, her shoulders slumped, her eyes hollow. She didn't see me. I drove past, a ghost in her ruined life. There was no triumph, no joy, just a profound, chilling emptiness. The silence that followed was the loudest sound of all. The end.